I'm ready for that Mock-A-Thon.
Mock-A-Thon time. We got a mock draft coming to you one each day, starting off today's mock draft with a 10-team. Let's get right into it. And welcome back to a Standard Fantasy Football Podcast. I'm your host, Jono.
And I'm your host, Chris, and we are in the final week before drafts. We got a Mock-A-Thon, one draft every day coming at you this week to get you prepared for the biggest weekend in fantasy football, and that is the last weekend of preseason jumping into the last week.
This is honestly the week you should be drafting because injuries can always happen. And that's just not on preseason games, because if we saw this past weekend so far, yesterday's game and Friday's games, nobody was really playing.
No.
So we don't have to worry about in-game, preseason injury, which brings up the point that does the NFL go to 18-game season and a 2-game preseason? Quite possibly. But beside the fact is people have been injured in practice more than the actual games this preseason. So you don't want to be drafting your team this weekend right now, and all of a sudden, midway through practice, somebody pulls up with a hammy, somebody pulls up with an ACL, an Achilles, and your guy's out for the season, and you would not have drafted him if you had waited one whole week. So this is for all those who are, their leagues are waiting until the final weekend, Labor Day weekend, best time to draft. Everybody's got a day off of work. So let's jump into this 10-team draft we're going to hear. Ibrahim, one of our followers here, hopefully a subscriber. If not, hit that button, Ibrahim. He requested a 10-team mock draft, and a couple other people have already. So 10-team coming at you. We'll see. I'm going to be drafting from the 4 spot. Chris will be drafting from the 9 spot. We're going to do it on the Sleeper platform, so all ADP is going to be based off of Sleeper ADP. So let's jump into it here.
And guys, let's just throw a huge shout out to Sleeper, okay? Because if you guys are running on Yahoo or ESPN, CBS, we did that for years. Sleeper is by and far the best platform to run fantasy football. So if you're not running off Sleeper right now, you guys need to convince your league, sign up for Sleeper, and get that started.
Correct. The only side of Sleeper that I would give any criticism to, and they've been working on it, is their ADP. They don't usually update it as often earlier on in the season when you start mock drafting.
I'm okay with that because I know my guys.
Well, I was going to say, but you should be listening to us and not listening to the ADP. That's the point I want to make here is go ahead, sign up for Sleeper, join us in the revolution in making this the #1 fantasy app out there.
Guys, and you see the comments roll through. We listen. We are reading those things every day as they come in, responding to you guys as quickly as possible. If you want to see something, drop it in the comment section. We'll bring that content to you guys. Let's get the thing started. I'm excited about Mock-A-Thon.
I know, I am too. So this 10-team starts off, again, this is a standard scoring 10-team here. It didn't stop Team 1 and Team 2 going wide receiver with Tyreek Hill and Jefferson, arguably neck and neck for best receiver in the NFL. McCaffrey goes next. So sitting here at the 4 spot in a 10-team, I feel more comfortable that the options of me getting a running back in the second round is there versus going to get the top wide receivers that are out here. And CeeDee Lamb slept to me here in the 4th. I think he can mimic his season last year. I think, maybe he hit his ceiling, but even if he's 100 yards short and a touchdown or 2 less than that, he's still a top 3, top 4 wide receiver.
Yeah, he's one of the few guys, and there's only 3 or 4 guys that we can even bring up into a conversation that have a chance to reach 1,800 yards, and he's one of them.
And he's one of them. Regardless of this whole holdout situation, it may be a slower start to the season because of it. It doesn't scare me in this factor here. CeeDee Lamb afterwards, Chase, Bijan, Breece, and St. Brown go before Chris at the 9 spot.
Yeah, no, and I agree with you. I think I can get running backs later on in this draft in the 10 team, so I'm going to start smashing on wide receiver. I like A.J. Brown, but the next guy off the board, I don't want the team 10 to come around and take this wide receiver, so I'm going to go get Garrett Wilson here.
There you go, Garrett Wilson. So Jahmyr Gibbs, Saquon Barkley goes. So that's what I was going to say was if you're in a 10-team league and you're drafted from the 10th spot, it is the most pivotal point where you can go double RB and get 2 top guys like Gibbs, Barkley, Taylor, Gibbs. That, like any combination of that trio, could be devastating to your opponents for the season.
Yeah, and just I solidified a #1 receiver. I want to solidify a #1 running back right here. I'm going to go get Jonathan Taylor.
Yeah. Harrison goes, A.J. Brown goes, Puka, ETN, who I was hoping maybe fall to me, but I'm fine with getting Kyron Williams here. So here we go again, a guy that is slipping in ADP because everybody's worried about injury concern and Blake Corum, and you got to have that built into his ADP a little bit. But if you like the guy, he could be a first-round pick for you. Go get him.
Can I just say this? I think a lot of people are putting too much stock in these backup running backs.
Correct, especially rookie backup running backs.
Yeah, I mean, with Trey Benson, like you're gonna overdraft Trey Benson a little bit and underdraft James Conner. Like James Conner, you should be overdrafting. Like you shouldn't be worried about Breece Hall. You shouldn't be worried about ETN or Kyron Williams, and you shouldn't be worried about James Conner. Like, those guys are going to be fine because, like, in order for those rookies to really step in and have significant workload, there's going to be a need to be an injury, and I just don't see that happening.
To me, there's only 2 running backs where the backup running back has an impact for these guys. In the case of this, probably top tier running backs, but throughout, and that's going to be Tyler Algier with Bijan. However, Bijan outsnapped him over double, like 1 to every 3 snaps Algier was in for Bijan. But Bijan only had 2 rushing touchdowns at the goal line. I think that's going to change. I think Bijan's going to get more opportunities and more snaps, but Algier's going to have an opportunity here.
Well, we assume the offense is going to be better.
Right?
So the touches and the production is going to
should go up.
And
then the other one is Jahmyr Gibbs with David Montgomery, because Montgomery wasn't a slouch last year. He wasn't just a replacement, change of pace back. He was the back to start the season. They brought Gibbs in slowly, and then Gibbs all of a sudden became this big thing. So I still put a little bit of weight on those 2 guys, but
sure.
That's about it. I'm going to go Kyron here. Like I said, I'm going to get a top running back here, a guy that's going to be finishing top 5 possibly this season. I would have went Derrick Henry had he gone before that. Henry goes afterwards. Drake London, Devontae Adams. I'm okay passing up on them along with Olave, Achane, and Jacobs. That's where I would have wanted to get one of these guys on the swing around. So now I have an opportunity here. Do I go with a top receiver or do I funnel in my running back? And what I'm going to do is I'm going with the hero wide receiver in the standard scoring, and I'm going to go Pacheco because he's the last guy here before it kind of drops off in running back production. So I'm going to seal up my 2 top RBs here. Now I can focus on running backs later in the draft and really hammer these wide receivers.
There we go, right in the middle.
Oh, yeah. Ayuk, 2 tight ends in Kelsey and Laporta. Kelsey's firing up the ADP boards again. And then Josh Allen right before Chris. So that's a little present Allen before you.
Yeah, I love to see it.
It means people drop.
Yeah, I love to see it because I'm going to go get Mike Evans right here.
Mike Evans, Deebo Samuel, Mahomes to start off the 4th.
And I'm going to follow this up with Nico Collins and smash that like button.
So Chris going more of a hero running back situation with Taylor. 3 top receivers off the board for him. 2 more quarterbacks go with Hurts and Jackson, Stephon Diggs, and Neighbors. So sitting here, there's one wide receiver that I find myself constantly clicking on, and that's Cooper Kupp. Now, the downside is I already have Kyron Williams, and I don't suspect the Rams are going to be a top 5 scoring offense. They could be, but there's a lot of good offenses out there, and you maybe like with A.J. Brown and Saquon Barkley, maybe with like Hurts and something else, or maybe even like you can go Tua and Waddle and feel a little bit more comfortable at those.
I mean, that doesn't really scare me as having the number 1 running back, the number 1 wide receiver on a team, on an offense that's going to put up points. Like, that doesn't scare me.
Here's what scares me is the health of Matt Stafford.
Sure, but like, you know, if you have the health of Matt Stafford, I mean, like, I don't think with any of these older quarterbacks, you can't factor that into ADP. We have to assume that these guys are going to be healthy.
Correct.
Because you could say that about every player. Be like, oh, well, you know, Jamar Chase is going to be a stud, and I'm going to draft him there if Joe Burrow stays healthy. It's like you can't make that assumption on Stafford.
No, I agree with you. But he already had an injury going into the season is what I'm saying. He already had a hamstring injury going into the season.
I understand that.
It's not like it's a guy that I'm like anticipating an injury from. He already has one.
He's a quarterback. So I'm not
older quarterback too.
I'm not overly concerned with a hamstring injury on a quarterback that's not very mobile anyway.
The point I want to make though is I want to get a piece of an offense that is going to be one of the top scoring offenses in the league.
Yeah.
And that's the Miami Dolphins. So give me Jalen Waddle, who I think is going to have a bounce back year from his year. Even though last year was fantastic, stats wise didn't maybe show it, but sneakily he was still very good. I want him to go back into that old Jalen Waddle explosive opportunity here. DJ Moore goes afterwards. He was the other one I was going with. And then Cooper Kupp, Rachaad White, Metcalf, Cook, Mixon. And now I'm sitting in a place where it's the 5th round. I've got 2 receivers. I got 2 running backs. I could go Kenneth Walker here. He's going to be a great running back opportunity. Solidify a 3rd running back, my flex. I could go with Michael Pittman, who I'm not as high on this year. Anthony Richardson didn't really show enough for me in the preseason. They're going to have up and down games. Devonta Smith is a guy that is going to give me constant production, but I want a league-winning tight end. And in terms of league-winning tight end, there's one guy here. Everybody's jumping on the Trey McBride train, which I think could be great. But Mark Andrews, they didn't add any other weapons besides Derrick Henry to that offense for Lamar Jackson.
It's a big weapon.
Yes, but now...
And I don't think that's necessarily true. I think that there are some weapons. I mean, yeah, there's no premier weapons if they added to that.
Correct. In terms of the passing game, he's still the number one option when he's on the field. And that's Mark Andrews. So I'm going to get my tight end here, lock him in a single tight end starting league here. Kincaid goes afterwards. Pittman, Devonta, Kenneth Walker, and back to Chris here.
Yeah, well, I'm going to kind of, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to draft Alvin Kamara. I'm going to get my second running back. I'm going to get Alvin Kamara here and hope that my player drops down to me. And he did. So,
well, being at the 9 spot, you only had 2 picks to hope he did.
I thought that, I could lose one of these 2 players. It's why I didn't go C.J. Stroud in the first. The guy behind me has Patrick Mahomes already. And I would have been fine if McBride dropped or C.J. Stroud dropped to me, which is why I went Kamara there. I'm going to get C.J. Stroud here and get my quarterback. I think the weapons around him are fantastic. I already have Nico Collins on my team, so having his quarterback, I'm going to have a nice little stack right there.
The thing I will say about 10-team leagues that makes it unique, like I don't value getting a quarterback that early anymore in a 10-team league. Like you think about it, yes, there's total 4 picks less per 2 picks less per round, 4 picks on that turn. So like perfect situation for you there to get C.J. Stroud in the 6th round is huge. But you can still get someone like Joe Burrow in the 7th, 8th. You can get Love in the 9th, 10th, 11th in 10-team leagues like this. So I'm waiting to see how know how your league drafts is the biggest thing. If you know that they're drafting premier quarterbacks early, which a lot of home leagues do, then put a little bit more weight in it. But for you to get him in the 6th round is a steal.
Yeah, I mean, and listen, I think this is a year where you can actually fade quarterback a little bit. There's plenty of value down low, but we're talking about league-winning ability. We're talking about the weapons that are around these guys and the stats that they can throw up. And having a guy like Stroud, Mahomes, and Hurts, Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen, those guys are going to throw up. They can win you weeks.
Yeah. So we're looking right here. I thought about I want to go with a flex position here. I'm going to go to position player. I want to get my flex out of the way. Do I want a running back? Well, look, David Montgomery, Ramondre Stevenson, Najee, Zamir. Those are the top 4 on the board there. I like Najee a little bit more with this Warren injury. I think he's going to be coming back anyway. Just fine. Zamir White, that offense is a little shaky. Ramondre, terrible offense, but has the volume. Montgomery, split backfield. There is one guy here on this board in terms of wide receivers that I can't pass up. I love Amari Cooper. Age is going there. Deshaun Watson play scares me a little bit, but T. Higgins, there is zero fear in drafting him. And to get him in the 6th round as my 3rd wide receiver, I'll take it all day. Amari Cooper, Joe Burrow. I was hoping to see if I could link those 2 together. Didn't happen. Pickens, Kittle, Pitts, Richardson. All right, so that being said, 7th round, I'm going to start looking at my quarterback here. And there's one guy on the board that I don't want to miss. Not sure if he's going to make it to me. Most of the people already have a quarterback except here in Team 5, so I could roll the dice. But I want Kyler Murray. And, again, looking at the top of the board here, only Terry McLaurin and Najee are 2 that I really want to try and maybe put my stake into. So you got to decide, do I want to risk it and hope that the one team that doesn't have a quarterback doesn't pick Kyler Murray? And let's see what happens. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to roll the dice, and I'm going to lock in a standard league scoring league, a volume running back with opportunity in a team that has struggled in the passing game past 2 seasons.
Yeah, and just for that, I'm going to draft Kyler Murray.
And look, he went Team 5 right afterwards.
Yeah.
So Ramondre, Montgomery, Keenan Allen, I mean, that's a risk you play there.
Yeah.
But you got to be okay with not getting him.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what I'm going to do here is after the Jahan Dotson move, there's really only one standout wide receiver in Washington, and that's Terry McLaurin. And I wouldn't be surprised if this week you start seeing his ADP rise a little bit more. I think Jaden Daniels is going to have a fantastic rookie season, and I think Terry McLaurin is going to be the main beneficiary of that.
Yeah.
I also there's another guy on that team that I really like, and is Ben Sinnott, and I think he is a sleeper tight end this year. You should absolutely go and get.
Correct.
And I think he's going to be the best rookie tight end this year. He might be the only rookie tight end that has a chance to have a season like Laporta did last year. I don't think any other rookie tight end. I mean, Zach Ertz is going to fade away. Sinnott is going to come right into the who's the pass catcher there?
Well, you have Luke McCaffrey, another rookie.
You don't. Look, sorry.
No, I'm saying. I'm just saying. I'm listing out pass catchers. You asked me. You have Luke McCaffrey, who's a rookie. And you have De'Ami Brown, who's more of a deep threat. That's all you have.
Well, Luke McCaffrey is the number 4.
What I'm
Barely.
saying. I'm saying these are the other pass catchers.
That's what I'm saying. Is like there's nobody. There's nobody there other than McLaurin, and we know how tight ends have always been really consistent in Washington. So I think Sinnott is a guy that you should absolutely target late round. I mean, this is a guy you could probably go and get.
Well, fade. I would say just go look at the numbers for Zach Ertz when Kingsbury was there right before he got fired, and Ertz started the season there before his injury. And look at the numbers that you had from Zach Ertz. They were phenomenal. So you know that Kingsbury is going to use his tight end as a pass catcher.
And speaking of tight ends, after going McLaurin, I'm going to solidify my tight end with, I think, the last of the elite guys is Evan Ingram here.
Yeah, if you didn't see that connection twice between Trevor Lawrence and him in the red zone, this could be a big season for Evan Ingram.
Yep.
He's a mismatch every single time. Since he was a New York Giant and drafted, he's always been a mismatch.
Yeah.
Daniel Jones just couldn't get him the ball like Trevor Lawrence did.
Daniel Jones can't get anyone.
Zamir White, Raheem Mostert, Jaden Reed, Chris Godwin. And I'm sitting here. Now I'm in a situation where I want my quarterback in the next 2 rounds. And you have Dak Prescott and Jordan Love, and I like either one of these guys. I'm okay with either one of these guys. What I'm not okay with is passing up on opportunity in this 8th round for solid wide receiver depth. And there's 3 guys on this list that I like. I like Roma Dunze. ADP's too high. Not going to spend on him there as the wide receiver 3 option. Could be 2 by the end of the season. We don't know. Too many question marks there. But Rashee Rice and Calvin Ridley. These 2 guys I love. Calvin Ridley is going to be fantastic in a high-flying passing offense. And Rashee Rice is the number 1 target for the number 1 quarterback in NFL. What don't you like about that? So to me, I'm going to put my stake in Pat Mahomes and the talent rather than Will Levis.
Number 1 wide receiver target.
Yeah, number 1 wide receiver. Like, listen, he could be the number 1 target. The changing of the guard away from Travis Kelce could change. But I'm going to go with Rashee Rice. He's proved to be the main guy there. And I feel comfortable being the fact that Waddle gets injured a little bit more often. Higgins has been injured. To get us a wide receiver like Rashee Rice, at least as a flex, is fantastic. Now, Jordan Love went, and Dak Prescott fell to me here. So you had Brooks, Pollard, Moss, Ridley, Bowers, and Love. I'm going to go with Dak Prescott. Take my quarterback 1 here in a team that's going to pass the ball
and
very often.
And pair him up with CD.
And pair him with CD in a nice little connection there.
Yeah, I mean, so I need to go running back here. Some guys fell off the board that I was hoping would drop down. So I feel like I'm pretty good early season with Kamara and with Jonathan Taylor. So I'm going to take a flyer here. I'm going to take Nick Chubb.
Why not? I mean, you have an opportunity to have an end-of-season league winner. Worst case is he's on your bench.
The other guy I'm going to take here is I'm going to solidify what I think is the best rookie running back in the situation to really take over, and that's going to go and get Trey Benson here. Now, I'm overdrafting a little bit. I understand that, but do I need another wide receiver at this point with the guys that I have out there? Do I need another quarterback? Do I need another tight end? No, I'm going to go get guys I like. When you're filling up your bench, go and get guys you like. You start thinking less about value, and you start thinking about, hey, this is how I want my bench to look like. You've already filled out your starting roster.
Yeah, I agree with you there. So here, deciding on what I want to do, I already have a quarterback. I'm not going to go back-to-back quarterback. I thought about maybe Caleb Williams here to back up Prescott and see, but I could go to war with Prescott every single day, and he showed it last season that the back half of the season he was one of the top quarterbacks in fantasy football. I'm going to lead with that going into this year, not have to get another guy. Austin Eckler is interesting, especially with what they're doing, getting rid of pass catchers. Now, the fact that they got rid of Dotson, is that going to be a case for Brandon Ayuk?
Dotson. We got a Dotson here.
Dotson. Is it going to be a case for Brandon Ayuk? It may be. I said it on one of our shorts earlier. We'll see in the next coming weeks what happens. Obviously, they've not secured him in the 49ers. So Eckler is a great passing opportunity in a passing offense with Kingsbury. But I don't want to put my eggs in that basket when his teammate Brian Robinson is sitting right there as well, and a guy like Keon Coleman, who could be the number one wide receiver for Josh Allen. I don't say number one target because that could be Dalton Kincaid, but I will take Keon Coleman as a depth piece here at wide receiver and keep adding to the talent that I have right here. Eckler goes, Gus Edwards goes, Hopkins, Purdy, Caleb, and Njoku. And I'm going to go ahead now and take Brian Robinson. Because I took Coleman over Brian Thomas, I'm not going to go back-to-back rookie receivers. I'm going to solidify my next running back position here and get my fourth running back in Brian Robinson, who's going to be the main guy touching the ball in this offense. Jerome Ford goes, Jared Goff, Brian Thomas Jr., Jackson Smith, and Jigba. Back to Chris at the 11-9 pick.
Yeah, I mean, ADP, like right now, it's Tajay Spears. I think that's who I'm going to go with, honestly. The only other guy I would really consider, you know what? No, I'm going to go Tajay Spears. I thought maybe doubling up, getting Jaden Daniels here, but I'm going to go 3 running backs in a row and solidify some depth there. And now I'm going to start being able to hammer out the wide receiver position. I was hoping that Brian Thomas or JSN would fall to me. They didn't. And now
one of your favorite picks is here though too.
I know,
but it is a mock draft. You can get weird.
I'm gonna get weird. I'm gonna get weird in a 10 team. All right. I haven't drafted him a ton, but I think Jameson Williams is a guy that, there's Khalif Raymond is the only other guy there that can take away, and they drafted him highly. He has a great explosive ability. I mean, the guy had under 10 targets last year, under 15 targets last year. Mm-hmm. He's going to get more this year, and the production that he had last year from only those targets, he's going to be involved in the passing game. He's going to be involved in the rushing game. I'm going to go take a chance as my number 5 receiver with him.
The thing I will say too about him is his name should not be mentioned in the same vein as Kadarius Toney, and I feel like he's getting the same treatment as Kadarius Toney. His first-round draft pick. That's getting a lot of flack because of drop balls he's had, and he's a one-trick pony and all that. I think if Jameson Williams, under that regime, improves his game, which it sounds like he has, he's going to get targeted by Jared Goff. Like, this team is looking to get to the Super Bowl. They need to use him. He's a pathway for them to get there. He may be a week winner for you. It may be difficult to start week to week until he starts showing some consistent production, but he could be a week winner. All right, so going here, I've got 4 running backs. I've got myself 5 wide receivers, got my tight end quarterback. It's just hammering depth. Do I go a second quarterback? No. Do I go a second tight end? No, because this is a 10 team. Not many teams are going to have enough roster spots unless you have 8 bench spots to really take away any waiver wire opportunities. So I'm going to be able to get to the waivers and spend money in fab that I want to do there. So let's continue to add where we want to. I like Chase Brown. I'm going to throw him right on my roster right now. More running back depth in a position that gets injured very often. And I'm hoping did not fall to me. Romeo Doubs is the guy I was going to try and take here as my last 13th pick because I just want a piece of this offense. I wanted a pass catcher there. Unfortunately, he didn't fall. Curtis Samuel, Shakir are the next wide receivers off the board here, ADP-wise. Not in love with those guys just because of the sheer fact that I already got Keon Coleman. Looking at who's here in terms, this is my last pick. I can take a chance on somebody, but I think there's less risk involved by taking a guy like Josh Palmer, who's already got a rapport with Justin Herbert on an offense that is looking for a wide receiver 1 for their quarterback.
Yeah.
Who better have an opportunity than him there? Like, McConkey may get targeted more, but
Sure.
in fantasy, do you think Palmer could finish above him? Absolutely, there's a chance to. So I'm going to go take that as my final depth piece here.
Good. And I got my final depth piece. I'm going to reach a little bit on him. I don't care. I want him on my team. I really like him. Guys, if you don't know, this man, it might be the future of the New England Patriots wide receiver core.
Jalen Polk?
Jalen Polk.
He's not the future. He is going to be the premier receiver at some point by this season.
I think they're going to struggle this year.
Yeah,
But I think things are going to start working out there. I think Jalen Polk is a dynamic receiver. He's underrated. He's undervalued. And he's a guy that I think is just, I know a lot of people know about him, but I think more people need to start knowing about him. I'm surprised with the amount of people the amount of traction that he's kind of gotten, I think people are afraid of him because they don't want to draft him because he's a wide receiver on the New England Patriots. But this guy can do everything. I really do believe more than any other year in the past with the wide receivers in New England, this is a guy that really can come in there and solidify that room. So I'm going to go here with Jalen Polk.
So what I'll say about Polk in this offense, they may be a bad offense, but they're going to have to pass the ball. It scares me more for Ramondre Stevenson's touchdown capital than it does the wide receiver's touchdown capital. Because whether you have Brissett or you have Drake May throwing, they're going to find a target they like. And if this guy's the main guy that's getting open constantly, he's going to be targeted. So there's a chance, like, okay, he could finish in the same finishing stat line as, maybe Jordan Addison last year, who doesn't hit 1,000 yards but can have 8 to 10 touchdowns because
in all
who
honesty,
else are they going to throw to?
The fact, I know people are going to say this, and this is maybe controversial. All right, Malik Neighbors is a better player than Jalen Polk, for sure. But do you really have faith in Daniel Jones and the Giants' offense more so than you have faith in the New England Patriots in that offense?
I have more faith in Brian Daboll play calling than I do anybody play calling in New England. But I don't.
New regime.
Yeah, but I'm just saying I have more faith in Brian Daboll doing that. But that's me being a Giants fan. I also don't see, to me, those teams both have good defenses and bad offenses.
You have Neighbors going in the fourth round versus
too high for Neighbors
versus Polk going in the 13th. The value is there,
I'm with you.
I don't think people should shy away from Jalen Polk because they're certainly not shying away from Malik Neighbors.
No, I'm with you on that. I agree. Well, let's break down our teams here real quick for you all. I started off the fourth pick. I went CeeDee Lamb, backed up 2 solid running backs that could both finish in the top 7 with Kyren Williams and Pacheco. Jalen Waddle to be my wide receiver 2, high upside there. Went with my tight end in the 5th round, which I don't think is early for somebody like Mark Andrews. T. Higgins afterwards to solidify my flex position, but could be backed up there by Najee Harris, Rashee Rice, Keon Coleman, Brian Robinson Jr., Chase Brown, or Josh Palmer at any point. And I had my quarterback in the 9th round to get Dak Prescott, and that shows you where you can get a guy who honestly could finish in the top 5 for quarterbacks if he played like he did at the end of the last season.
Yeah. Yeah, for going in the first round, I knew what I wanted to do. I wanted to go wide receiver, running back. I didn't want guys to fall down and not be able to get a top end of each one. So I got Garrett Wilson, got Jonathan Taylor, got Mike Evans and Nico Collins, got my second running back with Alvin Kamara. And with those 2 running backs with Taylor and Alvin Kamara, I think that they're going to be early season guys, full season guys, but definitely early season guys. And you'll see later on when I go Nick Chubb and Trey Benson and Tajay Spears, more late season finishers for me that definitely have potential to solidify either my flex role or overtake Alvin Kamara as my RB2. At wide receiver core wise, I really love my wide receiver core on this team: Garrett Wilson, Mike Evans, Nico Collins, Terry McLaurin, Jameson Williams, and Jalen Polk. I think there's you're taking risk on big explosive guys like Williams and Polk, but I can do that because I have 4 guys that I can start every week. Yeah. I don't have I'm not going to start one of those guys over Evans or Garrett Wilson or Nico Collins. Those guys are going to be, set it and forget it kind of guys. Quarterback wise, I went CJ Stroud, and tight end wise, I went Evan Ingram. So I think that this team is really well balanced. Like a lot of my teams that I draft, I don't draft typically for high explosibility. And I don't like getting a lot of exposure to certain teams. I think there's really this team, the way this team is set up is very, very balanced in terms of I really have a set it and forget it lineup. I really don't need to touch this other than bye weeks. You're going to have CJ Stroud, Evan Ingram solidified as my anchors there at tight end and quarterback. Garrett Wilson, Mike Evans, Nico Collins, Terry McLaurin, maybe rotate based on matchup, like McLaurin in for one of those guys, but there's set it and forget it there. And then Jonathan Taylor and Alvin Kamara, I don't really have to do much during the season.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat. I did the same thing, well balanced, which is, typically how I want to draft. I like to draft. Sometimes value drops to you and you get a little bit of heavy-handed. I do want to highlight one team here that I like what they did, and that was Team 3. Team 3 went RB heavy here and faded wide receiver in the first 4 rounds, and just show you what you can do if you do that, and that he had McCaffrey, Derrick Henry, Josh Jacobs. You're only going to see that in a 10-team league fall like that. But he solidified his flex in the first 3 picks right away. DJ Moore and Amari Cooper as his top tight ends. He threw Mixon in there as well. And he has Pollard and he has Eckler at running back positions. But for him to still get D-Hop, Tyler Lockett, and Romeo Doubs, he really has a set it and forget it with Brock Bowers, Anthony Richardson. A little bit shakier on the tight end and the quarterback positions because you just don't know yet, but the upside's there. The fact that you can get those running backs that he did and still be able to solidify 2 solid starting wide receivers, I like what he did there.
I mean, I would kind of go against that and say, like, I like Team 1's format better with getting Tyreek, Devontae Adams, Achane, Cooper Kupp, DK Metcalf, George Pickens, Kittle, Love. Like right there. All right, now I have to rotate a running back in there, but they still have Zach Moss. The only downside is their depth at running back is really, really low.
Yeah, instead of Njoku, if they went Gus Edwards,
instead of Caleb Williams,
if they went Brian Robinson's instead of Caleb Williams or Njoku, if they went Robinson Ford right there, or Robinson Tajay, like something like that, I'd feel
instead of Pickens, go and get Ramondre, go and get Najee, and then they would have been just fine. Like I really like that team setup.
Yeah,
it's dangerous at the wide receiver position.
Well, if you guys stuck it with us so far, thanks for tuning in. Don't forget to like and subscribe, hit that notification button. We have a mock draft coming every single day, including tomorrow's mock draft will be a standard 12-team league. One of us will be drafting out of the 8th spot, which has been requested heavily. So tune in for that one. And then Wednesday, we will be throwing you another 14-team, which you guys seem to like, at you so that you can get a visual on what to do from your 14-team draft leagues.
And guys, we are on the precipice of 500 subscribers.
Very close.
At that 500, we are giving out some swag, one of our T-shirts with our logo on it. We appreciate all the support and love. Don't forget, like, subscribe, share this with your friends. We're really trying to blow this up. We're really trying to grow this channel. We love the feedback that we've gotten over the last 2 months from
good and bad feedback.
Good and bad feedback. Like, we listened to you guys. I know we had an issue with our mics early on. We got that upgraded. We situated it. The next thing that we're going to continue to grow, and this is our second season doing this. Last year was kind of a rough test.
Last year was a toe in the water. This year we jumped in full head of steam, and just wait till what we're able to bring you during the season. We're going to bring you everything during the season that you guys are going to need on a week-to-week basis, from waivers to starts and sits. So don't forget to hit that notification and subscribe button.
You guys are my dudes.
Thanks for tuning in. See you tomorrow.